Let us explore a few questions around wealth. Why does wealth flow easily to some people while it is extremely hard to others? Why are some people always in need? Well, there are some others who always feel abundant. Why does wealth grow with some people while it leaves faster than it comes with some others? I want to lead you into one of the essential insights that you need to draw wealth into life. Let us go into it. Namaste. I will now lead you into a very different understanding of wealth. Wealth as consciousness. And this understanding of wealth as consciousness, is super empowering, because wealth as consciousness is something you can draw into your life. There are two kinds of consciousness with which people live. These are Lakshmi consciousness and Alakshmi consciousness. See, there is no exact equivalent for Lakshmi in English. Lakshmi means sacred, positive, noble, abundant, joyful. All these put together, that's Lakshmi. And this abundance consciousness, the ancients in India said, has 8 facets to it. And financial abundance is just one of it. So what are these 8 facets to wealth? Financial abundance, courage abundance, knowledge abundance, health abundance, victory abundance, love abundance, and wonderful children. Abundance is all this. We've only seen 7 of them so far. So what is the 8th? Apart from these 7 forms, there is the first of the abundance dimensions, which is called the Adi Lakshmi, or the first abundance. Who or what is this first form of abundance? Who is Adi Lakshmi? Who is the source of all other forms of abundance? Even Hindus have wondered who that first Lakshmi is. All of these 7 Lakshmis only proceed from Adi Lakshmi. Sri Krishnaji and I have taught millions who aspire to engage in conscious wealth creation. So who is Adi Lakshmi? Adi Lakshmi means an enlightened state of consciousness. I want you to wait until I give you a deeper understanding of this. Let me tell you another mystic secret that has been hidden in plain sight for over a millennia to every Indian. Have you paused to notice the image of Mahavishnu? Mahavishnu lying down on the 7-headed serpent, with Mahalakshmi pressing his feet. For the artistic mind, this imagery would pass off for one of the highest imaginations of human mind. For the devoted, it will show their favorite deities. For the ignorant, this would pass off as a husband lying in comfort and his submissive wife pressing his feet. For the mystics, this image reveals a secret to abundance consciousness. A consciousness that is restful amidst the racing and the falling waves of samsara. This samsara is shown as the ocean of milk. The eternally smiling face of Mahavishnu shows the blissfulness and the equanimity of an enlightened consciousness. And the Adi Shesha, the 7-headed serpent, symbolizes an awakened Kundalini that has crossed the 7 chakras, and it is flowing out of the Brahmarandra, or the spiritual opening at the center of the head. Coming to Lakshmi, she is wealth, she is prosperity, she is position, all the worldly abundance. Do you know Goddess Lakshmi has another name? She is known as chanchala, which means one who is fickle. Why? Your property can belong to you today and can belong to someone else tomorrow. Your position can belong to you today and belong to someone else a month from now. Abundance goes on shifting hands. It is never loyal. It never sticks. Lakshmi pressing the feet of Mahavishnu means when you are established in an enlightened consciousness, wealth of all kinds stay with you. It not only stays with you, your wealth serves you. This is the power of an enlightened consciousness. When you are not living in an enlightened consciousness but are living in a stressful state of mind, Lakshmi leaves you. And what remains is Alakshmi. What remains is misfortune consciousness. The opposite of Lakshmi is Alakshmi, which means negative, lacking, suffering, all these put together. Now, did you get the secret? That is why Sri Krishnaji and I say that achievement, efficiency, intelligence, wise efforts, in fact, all these ingredients for abundance flow effortlessly if you are enlightened, if you live from an enlightened consciousness. Let me share with you one state that invites Alakshmi or misfortune, and one enlightened state that invites Lakshmi or abundance. Listen carefully. Alakshmi comes when you have a complaining mind. A complaining mind is a perfect invitation for Alakshmi. Let me explain this to you. A mind that is constantly feeling deficient and hence is frustrated, that is a complaining mind. Can you imagine how it is to travel next to somebody who is constantly complaining? Say you're in a plane and somebody is constantly complaining next to you. How does it feel? Well, what if it is your own mind complaining and getting frustrated all the time? That must be pretty painful, isn't it? To live caged in such a mind. I've noticed that most people complain at least once every 3 minutes in a conversation. I want you to observe it and see. You'll be shocked. It's not an exaggeration. People have a complaining mind. You're complaining either that the bed is not soft enough, or your back is hurting, or your parents did not do what they had to do, or the government is not doing what it has to do. You're complaining about the weather, that it is too sunny or too cloudy or it is dull, or you're complaining about COVID, or you're complaining about the government, or you're complaining about your partner's complaints or your child's ingratitude. But you are complaining. And what is your complaining mind rooted in? It is rooted in judgment. You're judging people, you're judging circumstance, you're judging situations, you're judging your body, you're judging life, you're judging God, you're judging the whole universe, and you become a fault finder. Why do you judge? Because you are habitually dissatisfied with reality. Your mind is continuously commenting that this is not how reality ought to be. It has to be something else. Let me ask you, why are you not satisfied with reality as it is? Can you truly think about it? You are dissatisfied with reality because you are incapable of experiencing reality, incapable of experiencing the rain splattering on the windowsill, incapable of experiencing your child's joy, incapable of experiencing the taste of a fruit on your tongue, incapable of experiencing a wonderful evening walk alone on a quiet road. You have a stressed out mind that switches and shifts every few seconds, and it has no ability to experience reality. Well, yes, at the heart of a complaining mind is an assumption that I have to be unhappy if I have to progress, or I have to take total control for me to feel safe. It's a terrible assumption. You believe you have to be dissatisfied and aggressive and almost angry to fuel yourself onward. or you have to endure sleepless nights, you have to endure stressful days, trying to get everyone around you and all factors involved around you under total control. But what you don't know is that in the realm of consciousness, such an assumption and such a state is a perfect recipe for obstacles. You will unnecessarily be creating problems and hurdles for yourself. And each time you get stuck in a complaining mind, you are again inviting a Lakshmi, or the energies that are opposite to abundance. We can say those that are anti-abundance. From a complaining mind, you have to shift to an unagitated consciousness, an equanimous consciousness. You invite fortune when you live in an unagitated consciousness. It is a state that is not swayed into anxiety, it does not sway into anger, especially when life does not flow in accordance with your choice. It is a state where there is no desperate desire to take control of life. Take control of life, take control of your marriage, take control of your employees. Control itself is such an archaic idea. It is an idea that is built on falsehood. Try controlling your breath for 3 minutes. Let's see if you can. You can't. Control your thoughts for 2 minutes. Let us see if you can. You can't. Control is an illusion. And when you become enlightened, you learn to flow with life. You don't try to bend the river to your tunes. You flow with the river. You awaken to a state of consciousness that is free of fear, that is free of agitation. And when you go with the flow, you will strangely see that the flow will take you towards the fulfillment of a purpose in an unexpected route. They say nature takes the path of least resistance, and an unperturbed consciousness is like nature. It is the seat of Lakshmi. It is a seat of fortune, of all forms of abundance. It will take you towards your destiny on an unanticipated route. Wake out of misfortune. Wake up to abundance consciousness.
How do you look at an alcoholic, a drug user, or a chain smoker? What are your thoughts when you look at them? Do you label them as addicts and look down upon them? Let me dare you into an inquiry into yourself. Do you really believe you are not an addict? Addiction is not just to substances. Addictions can be to internet, video gaming, social media. You could also be addicted to movie watching, shopping, gambling, eating, gossiping, or traveling. So, what is an addiction? How do you define it? An addiction is not merely an unethical or an immoral behavior. That would be a very childish and an immature understanding. Addiction is a repetitive indulgence in an unwise activity. And why do you engage in it? You engage in it for two reasons. Either because it gives you a high or it helps you escape a low. You engage in addiction, one, because it is pleasurable, or two, because it is helping you escape emotional pain. Any habit can become an addiction when you lose control over it. You are addicted when you cannot effortlessly say no and walk out of it. Addiction is not the problem of a specific strata of society or a specific age group. And it is definitely not the problem of a particular gender. Men and women both can succumb to addictions. And there is no reason for you to be more appalled if a woman succumb to addiction than a man. Because the reasons that prompt a man or a woman to an addiction are the same. It is either a craving for pleasure or an attempt to escape emotional pain. Men and women are both equally helpless in this issue. Addiction is a disease that affects the lives of people everywhere. Today, let us look into one of the central factors that causes addictions and how to prevent the arising of addictions. Stay with me. Namaste. I was recently speaking with a social worker who spoke of how addicted the world is emerging to be. Can you believe this? An average person visits social media platforms anywhere between 100 to 150 times a day. Is being addicted the new normal? What you see today is an entire civilization that is addicted to speed, to thrill, and to pleasure. And because of this, most people live with a very poor quality of mind that cannot celebrate life as it is. Because everyday life is not thrilling. How can it be thrilling? To wake up every day morning, brushing your teeth, taking care of the family's requirements, or take the subway to work. These are routine, mechanical things that you do every day. How can all this be thrilling? For the unenlightened mind, life can feel like a chore or a burden. Only the enlightened mind can go beyond the need for excitement and the fear of boredom. The enlightened are present to life as it is with total and undiluted attention. Such an attention is bliss. I want every one of you to know this. If you are prone to seeking continuous excitement of some kind or the other, you have the potential to be an addict. If you cannot experience life as it is, you have the potential to become an addict. Overeating, oversleeping, gossiping, compulsive lying, phoning, WhatsApping, YouTubing, playing politics at home and work continually, watching soap operas and movies on TV, Netflix, and even eventually working, any of this can become your addictions. So let us ask again, what is an addiction? Addiction is a compulsive destructive habit to which your mind and body are irresistibly drawn. The temptation is too strong to resist. You have biochemically and neurologically programmed your brain to rush back into the addiction. The dopamine that is released in the brain during an addiction tells you to get back to the same behavior and creates an endless loop in which you get caught in. Dopamine is an addictive chemical that is released in the brain during a moment of pleasure. And when it dips, it makes you so low that you want more of the same pleasure. So dopamine makes you ask for more dopamine. It is a vicious loop. That is why most addicts feel that their fight against addiction is a losing battle. It is true that you cannot fight an addiction by using your willpower alone. Fighting an addiction is like fighting with a crocodile in water. In water, a crocodile is way more powerful than you. The chances of your victory are slim. Your efforts to become free of addictions must start with understanding yourself. That is the first step. Firstly, you must understand that an addiction is only a symptom. Most often, it is a sign of an inner war or a struggle that is going on within you. It is a sign that you're battling against some reality in life. You are trying to escape some emotional wound or some deep unhappiness through this addiction. Emotional wounds such as painful memories, rejections, shame, failure, repression, boredom, meaninglessness, or loneliness are hurting you and creating an inner vacuum. You are trying to fill this vacuum with some addiction. You are not able to bear the depressive inner environment of your mind and are escaping that low through the high of your addiction. Think of a time when drinking or smoking or internet gaming was a simple and a harmless pastime for you that you used to engage in for fun with your friends during weekends. When did it actually become an addiction? When did that simple fun activity become the master and you became the slave? It became an addiction at a point when life became a struggle for you, when you became unhappy about your progress in your career, or when you became dissatisfied with love in your relationships. It became an addiction when life became meaningless and boring. It became an addiction at a point when life became a struggle for you. Every addict is a wounded human being within, whether they recognize it or not, and is in dire need of healing. At ekam, we have seen people of all age groups set themselves free in deep processes and emerge like molten metal that is burned in the crucible. Remember this: addiction to alcohol withers when your pain at being a failure is healed. Binge eating withers when the sadness of being unloved vanishes. Addictive smoking withers when you're no more running away from your boredom. Now, how quickly can one become free of an addiction? Becoming free of an addiction is not as difficult as it sounds. Every one of you can do it. We have seen thousands of people give up their addictions spontaneously when they make peace with life. Not only do the people who come to ekam give up addictions, even their loved ones back home give up addictions impacted by the transformations of these people. Few years ago, a guy who is a personality development coach from Latin America came to ekam for an enlightenment festival. His eldest son, about 34 years old, had become matter of public shame for him as he was a chronic alcoholic and was unsettled in any sort of career or relationship. This person did not know how to solve this problem. During the festival, he had an experience of a massive awakening of the heart and connected to his eldest son. He became conscious of the terrible loneliness his son had grown up with, right from his childhood into his teens and adulthood. In those moments of heartfelt connection towards his son, tears streamed down his eyes because he felt a tender love and a sense of oneness with his son. That same night, he called his son, and for the first time, he simply listened, simply feeling the pain and frustration in his son's voice, without correcting, judging, and advising. On the last day of the festival, the son calls him and tells him that he is considering giving up alcohol and settling into a new job. In the past 4 years, the young man is awakened to deeper inner peace. He works with his father and is learning to coach people himself. What do you think healed him? His dad's connection with him. It was absolute non judgment and compassion that flowed from his father that healed him. Your journey to freedom begins with realizing your addiction, not in denying it. You become serious about your journey only when you see the impact of your addiction on your life and on the lives of your children and partner and friends. Ekam is not a de-addiction center. Ekam is a space where people's hearts heal and flower. When the heart heals, addictions spontaneously fall away. Life is not to be lived in slavery of any kind. It is to be lived in freedom, love, and connection. The solution to addiction ultimately is a matter of we being there for each other with love. Young people who belong to families that experience heartfelt connection, where families spend time together and also have a culture of self awareness and meditation, have a huge advantage. They will stay above addictions. Rise up now so the future can be different.